MHO Talk Show.
But with Razor and I right now, we're going to kick off today's show with our good friend from over at the Jefferson School, Miss Kimberly Sheffield, the Jefferson School Foundation, as a matter of fact. Kimberly, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing well, blessed, Just making it do what we do, Kim. I always say no matter what's going on in life and going on in the world, when these lights come on in the studio, we got a job to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so we just get in the zone.
Hey, Charles, don't let her come in here like she no guest. Look. That's family right there. We ain't playing them games. It's 2025.
Razor. We trying to be professional right now. We got company.
Yeah, she know better than that.
I appreciate you guys having me, though.
Yes, indeed.
That's family.
And also with Kimberly today, we have Mr. Jim Battaglia, Public Relations and Development Director for our Salvation Army. Salvation Army here, long-standing cornerstone of the community. So definitely a pleasure to meet Jim. So good afternoon to you as well, sir.
Hey, thanks for having us, guys.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, folks know the great work that Kimberly does. I'm sure people are familiar with the Salvation Army as well, but we always like to make sure that we start on level playing field. So just real quick, before we dig into the partnership and initiative that you have, Kim, just go ahead and remind the folks real briefly, exactly what the Jefferson School Foundation's sort of mission is and your vision is, and then I'll get Mr. Battaglia to do the same.
All right. So the Jefferson School Foundation owns and manages the Jefferson School City Center. Mm-hmm. Our main focal point at the Jefferson School Foundation is to preserve and to sustain the historic Jefferson School.
Thank you. And so, Mr. Battaglia, folks know about the Salvation Army, but I know there's a lot of different, wings to it and a lot of different resources that it provides, right? So just sort of give an overview of our Salvation Army here and some of the things that it does for the community.
Absolutely. Like the Jefferson School and the Jefferson School Foundation, the Salvation Army has been an anchor in the community for decades. Obviously, we were a church founded well over 100 years ago, and we also offer so many different social services. We have a robust feeding program and a robust cadre of social services to help our communities unhoused and the youth of our community and the adults of our community with so many social services and programs that we offer on a daily and weekly basis.
I didn't know that y'all founded as a church. That's good information. Yep.
Every Sunday at 11. Come as you are, and we have church services.
I like that. Awesome. So thank y'all for those great introductions. And so now that folks know what the individual entities are about, tell us about this partnership. Sort of what brings you guys together. And we're talking about Sleep Out Cville, this partnership between the Jefferson School Foundation and the Salvation Army. So tell us about first, before we dig into the nooks and crannies of the event, like how the idea itself and the partnership sort of came to be.
Well, about a year ago, I was just calling around to different partnering agencies, and I met Kim, and I decided we had to meet. So I went over to Jefferson School and I met Kim, and we were talking about a shared problem we had in the community, and it was our community, and it wasn't a shared problem as much as it was a shared concern about our communities unhoused. And the common denominator that we found is that our community neighbors, we just felt like they knew about the problem, but they didn't know how to help. Mm-hmm. Everyone knew that we needed, more services and more money, but how do we educate our community? So we agreed that we weren't going to solve it that day or this decade, right. But we agreed that we should meet a couple more times. And, through these meetings, we decided that we should have an event that was an education and awareness event. And out of that came Sleep Out Cville. Okay. Kim, am I getting that right so far?
Yeah, for sure.
Sounded good.
So one of the things that kind of struck me is last year, we had started to see an increase in the unhoused population at the city center. Folks wanting a place to stay at night, folks needing shelter in cold weather, warm weather. And so obviously for liability purposes, we can't have people in the building for 24 hours a day. So we had to start putting other additional things into place to stop that from happening. That's just one side of it. Getting folks out of the building at 10 o'clock is just one thing. We're still sensitive to the fact that these people don't have a place to go. They don't have a home. So that's kind of what struck me into getting involved with the Salvation Army and also how we gave birth to Sleep Out Cville.
Thank you. Yeah, that is such a huge undertaking. Like, were there any reservations at first? Honestly, just sort of like, wow, because you even mentioned it on how this is something that may not be solved this generation as far as solved. But I know that you have folks like the President's Council. I know City Council. Everybody's trying to tackle this issue from different angles, right? So what's the approach, and what do you think that you add that you're adding to the work that's being done to try to help our unhoused population?
Well, like Kim said, we have seen an increase in our communities unhoused. Our feeding programs are almost at max. Our shelter programs are almost at max. We've seen, I think it was a 39% increase just since the end of COVID. And that, has been the impetus for us to, I'm sure most of the community has heard about our huge capital campaign where we're, going to knock down the building on Ridge Street and build a brand new 44,000 square foot facility to double our feeding and sleeping capacity. Nice. Most folks know we serve about 55,000 meals a year, and we have 19,000 nights of sheltering. That's 19,000 instances where a head hits a pillow at our shelter. So, and our community, our city council, our mayor have been so incredibly supportive in working with us, not just giving us a pat on the back saying, great job, Salvation Army, and great job, Jefferson School. They're actually part of the solution. And Kim and I and her host of volunteers and our host of volunteers, both at the advisory board level and executive board levels, we're teaming up to create this awareness event and teach our young people. We want people to come out to this event on March 22nd to sleep out, to come and listen. And it's not just about sleeping on the pavement or sleeping in your sleeping bag or in your tent that you bring. It's about listening to the panel discussion from our folks that used to be homeless, folks that are currently homeless, about what the root causes are, what causes homelessness, what keeps people in homelessness, what it takes to get a job, folks that have been homeless for 4 or 5 years or 14 or 15 years without a state-issued ID, how hard it is to get a state ID, other organizations that do exist that are out there that help folks get out of homelessness, okay? So it's a complete education event, on how to get out of homelessness, to break the cycle and what causes that. So it's not just about the physical act of sleeping out. It's the full circle about it. So that's what this event is really designed to do, is to create awareness. Number one, what can I do as a community member to help besides giving money? And all around, and we have an age limit of 14 years old. We think it's important that our younger generation really grab a hold of this and find out what they can do at their age to help.
I have a question. Gotcha. When it comes to, most people try to do everything in their power to not be homeless. What you're asking is for people to come out of their bubble and experience, pretty much, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, what they complain about on a daily basis. Like, they fought tooth and nail complaining about the homelessness. For whatever reason that they're out there, and you're asking people to come out there and experience that, right? What would you have them do mentally to prepare themselves? We were talking earlier, and this is something I plan on doing with y'all. So I've purposely been laying on the floor a lot more to get used to my body being in that condition, right? Mentally. What would you talk to the listenership, our family, and say, look, this is what you need to think of before you go out, before you decide to make this commitment?
That's a great question. I'm not even sure any of us can prepare. I mean, the first thing you think of is financially. Okay. Can any of us put 3 to 4 to 6 months worth of reserves away? That's the first thing that you think about. But okay, so if you can do that, great. If not, I would just start preparing yourself. Next time you're sick, next time you have the flu or you have a cold, imagine if you don't have a home. How do you prepare yourself? Or if you have a gastrointestinal issue, imagine yourself out on the street. Okay, what would you do if you were homeless and you don't have the comfort of home to take care of yourself, or you don't have the resources to go and buy the things at a drugstore or a convenience store to help take care of yourself? Have you even thought of those things when you think about our communities unhoused? Okay, most of us think about food, about shelter, about staying warm. We have so many businesses out there and so many incredibly generous neighbors that do sock drives and do coat drives. What about doing a drive for antacids, or doing a drive for things like that to help you? Now, unfortunately, at the Salvation Army, in most places, we can't give out medications, but one thing to answer your question, think about those types of things and when you're out there on the street, the creature comforts that we may take for granted at home, and explain that to your children at home, explain that to your families, to prepare yourself when you come to this event. That's one way you can prepare yourself.
Thank you. And we are talking about a Box Is Not a Home Sleep Out Cville, Saturday, March 22nd, from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. at the Jefferson School City Center. Ms. Max?
Sure. Thank you so much for that response. I'm glad that you bring up the fact that we as a community need to think about this pandemic or this epidemic of homelessness, and in terms of the activity or program that you're offering in a much broader way, in a sense of what is actually causing it, right? Rather than making ourselves uncomfortable for a few hours, and kind of walking away with the facade, if you will, that we've experienced what it's like to really live as a homeless person. But I'm glad you bring that up, because I actually do some work with the homeless population here in Charlottesville. And it has been my experience that these individuals really do deal with a lot of challenges in terms of mental health disorders. It's disheartening, it's disturbing, and quite frankly, it's kind of sad to because in one sense, we feel like we are helping them by giving them a temporary place to stay overnight. And on the other hand, you see the much bigger picture and the bigger issues that just kind of putting a Band-Aid on things, because this resolves absolutely nothing if they don't get the mental health services that they need. And it brings the question of whether or not the organizations locally that are resources that are intended to help these individuals are actually doing, or if they're sought, are actually doing what they say that they're doing, and to the level that they could be doing it, right? And I'd like for you to speak to that a little bit, because it is much more about being able to pay a certain amount of money on a certain day of the month in order to keep your housing, right? And I really want to dig into this because I feel like we have this conversation in Charlottesville that in public in a way that's palpable to the people that are listening to it. And then we talk about it on a very real level behind closed doors. But the mental health issues that are impacting our homeless individuals, not all of them, but a large majority of them, is horrendous.
No, and thank you for bringing that up. And this is going to be part of the evening there as well when it comes to the panel discussion, because when it comes to homelessness, there's a lot of stereotypes out there. A lot of people think that our community unhoused has to deal with laziness or some sort of addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol or some kind of chemical dependency. And a large part of that is true, but I liken it to a pie chart, if you will. There's a certain percentage of each one of those things, and mental illness is a challenging part of our communities unhoused. And I can only speak for our social services that we have. Our caseworkers are skilled in that aspect. We align the right community agency with our clients. If our clients want to be part of our program where they can stay with us for up to 21 days, take part in a set of goals, okay? And as we stabilize them, we help them assess their current situation, and achieving the help of another agency. And it may come through chemical dependency, or it may come through getting some sort of mental health help. We will team that person up with the right agency to help them there. So yes, we do that work. Some of our folks, because they do suffer from mental illness, we never and we can't force someone to stay in our facility. And that's one of the tragic parts of some of the folks we work with, is we can't, even though they need to stay with us, they can't because of their mental illness. They won't. They would either rather be out on the street or just leave and go elsewhere. So yes, that is one of the most challenging parts of our communities unhoused is the mental illness part.
Now, are you at liberty to mention the partners as far as the resources that's going to be available for, like Max is saying, like for the ongoing support?
There are just too many to list. There are dozens of agencies that we work with. We work with,
but I mean, as far as for Sleep Out Cville, like, is there going to be a particular presence of like partners, like for this particular event?
Some will be there. Yes, some we are working on putting together the panel. People that will be there, and some of the former clients. Yes.
Okay. Cool. So Sleep Out Cville, March 22nd, 9 to 7. Definitely. So Kimberly, Jim, talk about the sponsorship opportunities as well. You know, speaking of sort of partners and how people can get involved, because it's not only as we said about experiencing, a night of what it could be like. But it's also about, like we said, providing the resources, learning more about the situation to try to resolve the situation. So there's many ways people can experience this event and help out, right? So what are some of those other ways, when it comes to sponsorship or anything else that we may be missing on how people can be a part of this?
So there are 3 sponsorship tiers. It's the Advocate sponsorship, which is $500, the Hero sponsor, which is $1,000. Our Champion sponsorship is $1,500. Although we are looking for sponsors and need sponsors, we are really, really hopeful just to have huge participation for this event. I just kind of want to go back 1 second. We talk about all of the deep-rooted barriers that contribute to the unhoused population, but it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the fact that 59% of Americans are one paycheck away from being homeless. So that really puts it into perspective that none of us are really immune to this.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
And then if we look at it deeper, most of us don't have 3 to 6 months worth of reserves. And I say that with so much conviction. My mother lost everything in a house fire 3 years ago. And one of the things that I was most worried about, it wasn't her replacing her material things. It was, where was she going to live? The housing market is heavily saturated. The rental market is heavily saturated. I think 3 or 4 years ago, for every rental property, 60 to 65 applications go in on that one rental property. So we're not immune to this thing.
Not at all.
So I'm encouraging folks to sign up, participate. It's $10 to sign up. It'll be March 22nd from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. I do want to shout out our great mayor who has pledged to sleep out. That's huge. And he's going to be outside in the elements with us. So I'm excited about the folks that have rolled their sleeves up and are willing to support this meaningful partnership.
Yeah, and the flyer is on our page as well, with QR code and website. But the website, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll post it on this feed for the show as well. But it's bit.ly, bit.ly/sleepout25. So bit.ly/sleepout25. And Kim, you mentioned something that we didn't talk about. You kind of alluded to it, but I was curious about the security, because I noticed on the flyer you said you have professional security on site all night. Right. So like what's sort of the the conversation around that, I guess so, because I can imagine some people, even though they see that there's going to be security, some people are going to be thinking I'm going to be outside Charlottesville, near downtown, you know what I mean? So what is the conversation like when it comes to sort of easing people to let them know that, hey, like this is an event that we're securing?
So it'll be in the Jefferson School City Center courtyard. That is a space that that can be secured better than some other places in Charlottesville. So we will have professional security on standby all night. I'm sure we will definitely let the City of Charlottesville Police Department know what's happening that night as well. That's one thing that I'm not overly concerned with. I think that the folks that are signing up to participate and to be a part of the simulated experience. But for folks that are concerned about that, we will have security on site all night.
Awesome. And for instance, I know you all provide a multitude of services, and even Jim, your branch serves Greene, Albemarle, Fluvanna, Louisa, and Nelson. So is this something that's been open to the surrounding areas, like for them to participate in this, or is it more like Charlottesville centric issue?
No, this is open to anybody.
Okay.
Wherever we're open to anyone from anywhere. Church groups, businesses are coming. We have sports teams coming, area high schools. This is a great opportunity we start at the high school freshman level. Okay. So any group that wants to come, this is a great opportunity, both for volunteers and for participants.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for this information. Ms. Max, Razor, what else did y'all have on your mind?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left. I would just encourage as many of our listening audience as possible to participate in this event, whether you're volunteering, whether you're donating money, whether you're actually being a part of Sleep Out Cville. I would say to participate, educate yourselves. Again, we're talking about real live human beings whose lives matter. And this event is intended to educate you and find out how we can help these people because that's what they need is help. So that's all I have, though.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. And, while we have y'all, though, like I would be remiss if I didn't just give y'all the opportunity of anything else that you all have coming up with the organizations that you may want to promote, or this is where the majority of the energy is right now.
I just have one thing. I am super excited that Cville ID team will now be at the Jefferson School City Center Mondays and Fridays from 10 to 2. So they will be providing services for real IDs, birth certificates, driver's license, all the things that are definitely a barrier for people reentering and the unhoused population. So Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 in the community conference room.
All right.
And if any business or organization would like to learn more about this event or anything that the Salvation Army does, please call us, ask for Jim, and I'd be happy to come out and speak with anybody.